So I, a 32-year-old male, can't seem to keep my hands off my girlfriend, a 27-year-old female. We've been together almost 3 years now, and I just want to know if I'm normal or excessive. It's like no matter what we're doing, driving on the couch in the grocery store, I can't refrain from massaging her back or feet, gripping her thigh, squeezing or rubbing her butt, giving her shoulder rubs, etc. multiple times per day. She hardly ever stops me because she knows how comforting it makes me feel. Is this normal? Are any of you like this with your women or just me? Okay. Thanks for confirming my normalcy. Haha. Story 1. My wife and I have been together for almost 17 years, married for 12 next Monday, and we've been parents for almost 10 years. We can't stop touching each other. I adore my wife, and I adore touching her. Story 2. Every single day, waking up in the morning and touching her leg while still in bed, kissing her shoulder, simply holding her hand, standing behind her and gently pressing my body against hers and breathing on the back of her neck. To add a little context, we just celebrated our 25th anniversary. Story 3. After settling down for some TV, I will touch my wife's legs, thighs, but at least once per day. If your girlfriend doesn't mind, it's not excessive. If she's feeling uncomfortable, then think about doing it less. Story 4. I'm an ass-grabbing, booty-smacking, boob-grazing, hand-holding, neck-kissing, foot massaging, back-rubbing, spooning on the couch, and snuggling in the bed husband who's going to lead her into the room with my hand on the small of her back. I can't keep my hands off her, and quite frankly, I don't want to. Story 5. I intimately touch my wife every day. If we are watching television, either I am cuddling her or she's laying down opposite me with her legs on my lap, where I will have my hands on her legs and feet and maybe a little rubbing or massage moment as well. If I am driving, I have my hand either on her thigh or we are holding hands. If we are in bed, we are cuddling with her head on my chest or spooning watching videos. There are a lot of other moments, but we would be here forever. You're being normal, bro, don't worry. Story 6. I'll be married 21 years next month, and I still can't keep my hands off my beautiful wife. When I get the chance, I'm always touching her body in some form or fashion, whether it's a kiss on the cheek, a hug from behind when I sneak up on her, cuddling in bed with her legs wrapped around me, or a morning hug while lying in bed on Saturday and Sunday mornings. Her love language is touch and feel, so every opportunity one get, I'm going to make sure she knows how much I love and cherish her for being my wife and the mother of my 2 daughters, and a damn good lover, if I may add. Story 7. I'm a 41-year-old female and dated the most affectionate guy. He would move over to sit next to me when we were out at restaurants and somehow cuddle my legs and upper body. He would give me kisses on the shoulder, cheek, and so on while I was still eating. At first, it felt like too much since I wasn't used to it. But I knew both of our love languages were touch, so I tried to embrace it. With time, it felt so good. He would open my car door, I would get in, and he would lean in to kiss me. I thought it was so sweet that he couldn't wait to get to the driver's side to kiss me. When he held me and caressed me, it felt so peaceful, like home. He would play with my hair, give me massages, and constantly be touching me. He could not keep his hands off me, and it made me feel incredibly loved. I actually started to cry when I read your post because that guy and I were not a good fit, but I missed that part of us. Overall, we wanted different things out of life, but he made me feel so loved. I think he loved me from the first time we met. He thought I was the most beautiful person on earth, and that always came through in the way he touched me. Live authentically and ideally, both people enjoy physical touch. Story 8. It would be weird for us to be in the same room for more than a few seconds without touching each other, even if it's a fleeting thing. Been married a little over 10 years. Story 9. Every time she passes by, most of the time it's for petty crimes like distracting my focus and showing too much skin. I'm like a detective in the house, always investigating, conducting pat-down searches looking for clues, and enforcing the law. Story 10. Recently, my wife has been struggling with a lack of sleep and a 10-month-old with a bit of separation anxiety hanging all over her constantly. She doesn't want to be touched, which is fine, but it's difficult for me. We've always had a very affectionate relationship. Now that she needs some space, I feel like I'm going through withdrawal. I love my son more than anything, but he's being a real hindrance right now. Story 11. 8 years in, and I touch her every moment I get. Whether it's holding her hand while I drive or squeezing her as she walks by, I just can't seem to get enough of her. Sometimes, I truly wish I could grow another pair of hands so I could enjoy more of her simultaneously. I've literally used my feet to take more of her in at once. Story 12. I'm a physical touch love language kind of guy, so when we're near each other, it would be weird if I go 15 minutes without touching her. It could just be a random hug, hand on the shoulder, a tickle, or a poke. That's just how I express affection. Story 13. 3 whole years? I have been married for 35 years. We make love each day, every day. Got a calculator to figure that one out? 365 times 35 years is a lot of foreplay, cunnilingus, intercourse, and orgasms. Wait, I forgot leap years. Story 14. Every chance I get, I've explained to her it's her fault she's so hot. Nothing I can do about it. She's trying to read. I'm touching her. She's watching a show. I'm touching her. She is trying to cook. I'm in the kitchen too, getting in the way like a pest. 23 years and she still isn't sick of it. Thank God. My love is like a barnacle. Story 15. Public service announcement for husbands and boyfriends. Lots of women love this. But there's one condition for some, not all, women. There's tons of discussions about my wife won't let me touch her anymore, and it's almost universally because touching always led to undressing. My husband touches me all the time and I love it because the touch is the goal. But I would get overwhelmed quickly if every touch was a sexual advance, and this is a common complaint from other women. Story 16. 16 years later and still in the honeymoon phase. We have 3 kids, a dog, chinchilla, and a bearded dragon. She thinks she may be pregnant again and is getting a test in a few hours. Story 17. I put her hair up. I'll wash her hair, help her put on socks after I rub them, rub her head in bed or while watching a movie, neck and shoulder massage if she looks sore or tired. Going on 23 years now, and I do a little of everything every day. It feels selfish because I do it so if something happens to me, she might remember me every day. And because I want to be able to remember everything about her. I don't know. I couldn't imagine not doing it. Story 18. Touch and quality time is my love language. I love hearing her talk, but I'm in bliss when we're cuddling, and I can randomly bite her shoulder or arm. I always try to kiss her forehead at least once every night and then tell her I love her. Plus, the squeeze and occasional tickle because it's fun watching her laugh and squirm. Story 19. I used to not be able to keep my hands off of my wife. Every time I was near her, every ride in the car, any time I walked by her, I would touch her. But the touch I received became less and less until it dwindled down to 0. So now I don't touch her either. Story 20. This thread is honestly some of the most wholesome content I've ever seen on the internet. You all are making me really look forward to being a husband and father one day. Have a good day, everyone. Story 21. Been married for nearly 20 years and been together for 27. I touch her every single day. From the moment I wake up, I fondle her body. Story 22. I couldn't function without 4 or 5 hugs a day. The same for kisses. Bonus points for holding her hands when we're out or just lazing on the bed or sofa for an hour or two. Talking nonsense. 30 years in. Story 23. My boyfriend of 4.5 years touches me every few minutes or so, like he just rubbed my hand or arm randomly. If not, he just cuddles up to me. He even does it in his sleep, laugh out loud. For him, I think it's also a comfort thing. It's his way of checking that I'm still there and to fill the silence, in his words. I think it's very cute and sweet of him. Story 24. Sounds very normal to me. My boyfriend does that too all the time. My favorite is whenever we are out and about, he'll open up his hands signaling me to hold it. Imagine Thor and his hammer, that's us. Story 25. Been with my boyfriend for 4.5 years. He still touches me every single day, if not more, minimum 3 times. Especially if we are just hanging out, he needs to be holding my thighs, breasts, legs, anything. He tells me it's because he can't help himself, not even in a sexual way. He says it's because it feels nice and comfortable. Story 26. After 17 years of marriage, I would love to touch my woman every day, but the rejection, or fear of it, makes me refrain. I hope you never get to that point and enjoy each other for the rest of your relationship without what most men go through. Story 27. If I don't grab my fiance's boobs, but at least 5 to 20 times a day, she thinks something's off. I set the precedent early in the relationship, going on 10 years. Story 28. Yeah, I'm touching her constantly. I can't help it either. I just love feeling her and having her close. Of course, if she tells me she's not in the mood, I'll stop. But usually, even if it's just a hand on her arm or leg, I'm touching her when we are close. Story 29. 12 years married here, and I still love physical contact with her. Physical intimacy, not necessarily sex, is something that I find grounds me and helps me reset when I'm feeling overwhelmed or stressed. Story 30. All depends on your women, to be honest. Keep asking every now and then if what you are doing is okay. Consent is important. If all parties are happy, there is no such thing as too much or too little. Different people have different comfort zones. Story 31. My guy is constantly touching me. Whether it's but squeezes, holding hands, his hand on my thigh while he's driving or we're on the sofa, little kisses, and he loves to cuddle before bed. Even I get sweaty and have to push him off. Story 32. A lot of men's love language is physical touch. We are starved for it throughout our lives most of the time, so when we get a conduit to actually release it, we want to do it as often as possible. Story 33. Touch is a love language. Not every man's or every woman's. But as a fellow affectionate man, there's nothing better than being with a woman who is also physical. Story 34. I don't know if I am any help because I am in a gay relationship, but I am pretty touchy with my boyfriend. We hug and hold hands pretty often, and he knows it comforts me. Story 35. It's funny you should ask. My 31-year-old, now wife, 30-year-old, and I started dating back in 2009 when we were in high school. We've been through a lot of different seasons of life, and one of the things that's always stayed the same is the physical touch. When we were younger and I'd want to touch my wife, she didn't understand but was fine with it. Now, she jokes around and tells me I have her conditioned to want me to touch her. All that to say, we are basically just high schoolers still who are really infatuated with each other. Story 36. I really thought I was overdoing it until my wife grabbed my hand and put it on her. She was getting annoyed that I wasn't touching her. She always does this when we sit next to each other. I'm fine with it. Story 37. It varies a lot depending on the couple and their dynamic. Some love constant physical affection, while others are more reserved. The key is understanding and respecting each other's comfort levels and needs. Communication is essential to finding what works best for both partners. Story 38. Been with my wife 10 years. We still hold hands when we walk around or I am driving. We are still very physically affectionate even if the sex life has slowed a little. Story 39. I'll be married 38 years on Friday and not a day goes by that we don't touch each other. A pinch on the butt, a caressing of a breast, a neck massage, back rub, holding hands, and so on. Story 40. Wifey and I are both touchy-feely types. After 47 years together, married almost 46, neither of us is really aware of it. It's just something we do. Story 41. I'm constantly touching my fiancée. We've also been together for nearly 3 years, and I can never keep my hands off her. But I wouldn't be doing it if it didn't make her as happy as it makes me. I would feel totally weird if she just let me do it. But it didn't actually make her happy. Story 42. Us guys are often less inclined to say, I love you, and more inclined to show I love you. I'm touching my wife anytime she's within arm's reach. 20 years and counting. Story 43. As long as she is okay with it, I think it is a good thing. Affection. Maybe touch is your love language, and it would make me feel wanted and loved if my partner could not keep their hands off me all the time. Story 44. Never, because I don't have a woman. But I'm constantly rubbing my man's body. He loves it, I love it. Physical intimacy that isn't sexual is a normal part of a healthy relationship, in my opinion. Story 45. 9 years together in a few weeks, holding hands. She always puts her leg over mine at the bar. I slap her and grab her breast just for the sake of it. She loves it. I couldn't keep my hands off her, even with a gun to my head. We kiss all day, every day, and cuddle all the time. It rocks. Has healed years of self-doubt and shame. Kiss my love. Story 46. 39-year-old female here. My significant other and I are both touching each other often. Lots of hugs, holding hands, even just sitting next to each other and making sure our legs touch. The same thing in bed, either I cuddle him or he cuddles me. If it's hot, one of us will frequently put our foot on the other's leg. My favorite is when he wakes up in the middle of the night, reaches for me, and snuggles up to fall back asleep. For a while in the beginning, it felt like I was soothing anxious feelings while cuddling up to him. I wanted to be careful with that, as I didn't want to set myself up to be codependent. I also felt like I was bothering him or being too much. At that point, he wasn't as touchy with me because his last relationship was with someone who was not the touch-feely type. We talked it through. He assured me that he enjoyed it and it wasn't too much. He promised he'd let me know if it ever was. From then on, he started touching me more, making things feel less one-sided. I probably still touch him and initiate contact more, but it's much more balanced and helps me feel less needy. Story 47. To be honest, multiple times an hour when I'm with her. I'm actually obsessed with touching mine. I don't know why, but my nervous system is actually addicted to her body. Not even sexually, but just to touch her. Low-key, sometimes I feel like I have a problem with how addicted I am. I feel like an alcoholic, but towards touching my woman. Laughing my ass off. Story 48. This is a great affirmation for her. When you are having an off day, keep doing this because you are so used to it that she now is too, and it will be something that is noticed immediately. From the comments, you can see it definitely strengthens the intimacy. Keep loving on that woman. Story 49. I am 40 and have been with my wife for 23 years. I still cannot keep my hands off her. We hold hands while walking, hand on leg while driving, randomly hug when we walk by each other during the day, tickle or poke in the gym, cuddle when we go to sleep, etc. I think it is a great sign. Keep it up.